Hey, it's Kyle here, and it's time to talk about books on my channel, which is always a good time in my opinion. One of the most popular videos I've ever done on here was a ranking of my 5 favorite nonfiction books of all time. Link right here. After I did that video, I got a lot of requests to do a top 5 list for my favorite fiction books of all time. And I thought that was a great idea, but it's taken me a long time to get around to making that video. Partly because my top 5 fiction books is a very fluid list. It changes a lot. There's about 3 books, 3 or 4 that are really solid in my top 5. But even those will change positions all the time. So, this month, a book might be number 2 in my top 5. 2 months from now, it might be at the 4 spot. And then after that, it might be 1. My opinion on books change a lot depending on what's going on in my life. So it could be, if I'm reading a book at the moment that's really reminded me of one of my favorites of all time, maybe it's a TV show or a movie that really helps me see that book as a different light. It could be something that's going on in my life that helps me relate to a specific book. So it's because of that, I've always been hesitant to do the top 5 fiction list, because this is just the top 5 list for this moment. You ask me a month from now, this list will be a little bit different. But at least I thought I could get this out here, so if you've never read any of these books, maybe this will steer you towards reading a book that I am really passionate and love a lot. So spent today kind of figuring out what I wanted to do for my top 5. There was about 10 books I really wanted to fit into my top 5. I got it. There's about 3 books that I cut that I had a really hard time. I really wanted to get in the top 5, but they just quite make the cut. So who knows, maybe in the future I might do a honorable mention video. But with that little intro out of the way, let me just dive right in. And like I said, these are my 5 favorite fiction novels as of this moment, July 2014. So number 5 is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This book is the most recent and newest book on my list. And this book to me at least really shows how important booktubers can be in shaping what people read and stuff. This is one of the first books I ever read because I saw a review on YouTube about it. Holly from We Read Books, her own personal channel, Holly Silla. She's also on Project Nerdy. She did a review of The Hunger Games. I'd always enjoyed Holly's reviews, but I'm not sure if I'd ever actually read a book based off her review yet. I'd only seen her do a few reviews, but then she reviewed The Hunger Games. I'd heard a little bit about it, but I thought, well, that sounds really interesting. I kind of respect Holly's opinion. I'm going to check that book out. To kind of show you how late to the game I was, the second book, Catching Fire, had just came out when I got around to reading The Hunger Games. And boy, was I blown away. Loved it. I've always really enjoyed dystopian novels. It's a genre I've always enjoyed a lot. But it had been a while since I'd read a really good one. The movies have increased my enjoyment of the book even more, because when a movie adaptation of a book is really great, it almost makes you love the book even more, at some points. So there's a lot of reasons why I really love this book. Not alone, it's just a great book. And I'm sure at this point most people watching this video have read The Hunger Games. But if you haven't read The Hunger Games, maybe you think, oh, it's a YA book, am I really going to enjoy a YA book? The Hunger Games is a very well written YA dystopian novel. Don't let that genre scare you off and miss reading a great book just because you hold something against that genre. So, number 5 on my list, The Hunger Games. Next up, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Bradbury is one of my favorite authors of all time, and I actually had a hard time. I knew I wanted a Bradbury book in my top 5, and it came down between this and Something Wicked This Way Comes. Fahrenheit 451 nudged it out to make the top 5. And the main reason I decided to put it in my top 5 is because of the social impact that this book has. And really, this is the go-to book if you want to get across the message of how dangerous censorship is and how important books are. And there's not many books that you can point to and go, if you want to teach a school kid about this one specific thing, this is the book they need to read. Well, I think almost anywhere, any school, if they're trying to teach you about censorship, Fahrenheit 451 is the book they make you read. Kind of the same way To Kill a Mockingbird is connected with racism, and there's a lot of the books that are connected with one specific topic. Fahrenheit 451 is that with censorship. But even when that important message is connected, it's still a great book with a great storyline, great characters, and there's a reason why this book has become a major element of like almost all childhood education, middle school or high school, where you read it, because it's a great book. If it was just an important message with a bad book, it would still not be just standard reading for basically every kid. I really wish they'd make a movie adaptation of this book now. I know there's been movies made in the past. I was never that impressed with them. The special effects were bad. I didn't really enjoy the acting. I'd love to see a great director now get a hold of this book and give that version of it. Something like Christopher Nolan. Can you imagine a Christopher Nolan version of Fahrenheit 451? That would be amazing. Make that movie. Number 3 on the list is Star Wars: Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. I figure if there's a book on this top 5 list that most people haven't read, it's probably this, because a lot of people just don't read Star Wars books. But don't let this being a Star Wars book, make you skeptical of how good of a book it is. A lot of times if you see a list of like the top 100 sci-fi books of all time, Heir to the Empire makes that list. Timothy Zahn is an amazingly talented sci-fi writer, shaped the Star Wars genre of books tremendously. Basically, Heir to the Empire pretty much set all the Star Wars books that came after, or almost so many major elements are inspired from this one book. Many of the characters that he introduced in this book then become major characters in the expanded universe. Many of the ideas behind the political situation of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi is established in this book. He really shapes all the books that comes after it. And of course, I'm very sad Disney's killed off the expanded universe, so officially this is no longer Star Wars canon, but in my opinion and a lot of Star Wars fans, this will always be canon. It's a great book. My favorite Star Wars character of all time, book or movie, is introduced in this book. Grand Admiral Thrawn. He has such a great character, a great villain, a better villain than the Emperor, a better villain than Darth Vader. I so wish they would have based the new Star Wars movies off this book, which is the first book of the Thrawn trilogy. To me, episode 7, 8, and 9 would have been awesome if they based it on the Thrawn trilogy, but it's too late for that. I know there are plots where I've been set for the new movies, but if you're a big sci-fi fan and you've never read a Star Wars book, read Heir to the Empire. I think even if you're not too much into Star Wars, it's just such a great sci-fi book that if you love sci-fi, you'll love Heir to the Empire. It's awesome, awesome, awesome book. I love it so much. I actually have 3 versions of it. I have the original paperback. I have this, which was the 20th anniversary edition, which has annotations from the author, which is amazing. It literally gives you insight what he was thinking. And I also have a graphic novel version. This book was so popular, they did a graphic novel version of it. That's awesome as well. So, Heir to the Empire. Now, the next 2 on my list are pretty much for the last, I would say, 10 years. These books have been 1 and 2. It's just they flip-flop what's 1 and what's 2. So, as of today, this is my top 2. Next month, they'll probably flip. They just always change back and forth. These are also probably the 2 books I've read the most of any. I usually read these books, again, at least once a year, so I probably have read both of them double digits at this point. Each time I read them, I enjoy them even more. They don't get old, which is to me is a hallmark of a really great book. So, first up, as of today, my number 2 favorite book of all time, fiction, is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Amazing book. How I came across reading this book was when I was in high school, my AP US History teacher, which was my favorite teacher I ever had in high school, smartest teacher I ever had, very entertaining teacher. I learned so much from her, amazing teacher. One day in class, and this is the only time I ever remember her mentioning to do this, she just meant, wow, I just read the best book last night. It's amazing. If y'all are looking for a great book to read, you should check it out. It's The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Do not remember her ever recommending a book to the class like that the entire time she was my teacher. But that one time she mentioned it, and everyone in that class respected her so much. I think we all immediately went out and bought that book. And The Pillars of the Earth is amazing. It's a great storyline. It's a very epic storyline. A great villain. In fact, that's one of the things the teacher mentioned when she was talking about the book. She goes, this might be the best villain I've ever read. At certain points, the villain made me so angry, I had to put the book down and calm myself down before I could keep on reading. which to me, that's the hallmark of a great book villain. A villain is so bad you hate him, but at the same time, he is so fascinating and such a great character that you enjoy reading about him. You know, sometimes a villain can just be annoying, like, I hate when he comes around, you know, scrapped out to scan through his section. The villain really helps make this book. But all the characters are really great. Follett does an amazing job with character development in this book. And like I said, it's a very epic, grand book. It basically, you know, covers an entire lifetime for characters. So you're looking, you know, 50, 60, 70 years for the plot points to develop. An amazing book. If you've never read The Pillars of the Earth, read it. You'll love it. And I will say, I read the book before it was on Oprah's book club. When she put it on her book club, it made me mad because every time I mentioned the book after that, oh, you read it because it was on Oprah's book club. No, I read it before it was on Oprah's book club. But the one good thing about getting on that book club, a lot of people were introduced to this great novel. So if you've never read The Pillars of the Earth, read it. You'll love it. And lastly, I've already mentioned this book earlier in my list, was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This book has shaped so many people's lives. I know it's often said that a lot of people who get into law and get into politics were inspired to do so because of reading To Kill a Mockingbird and Atticus Finch, and showing how, you know, through that type of profession, if you stick to your ideals, what kind of impact you can have on the people around you and what impact you can have in society. Even when you fight a losing fight like Atticus Finch does in To Kill a Mockingbird about racism, he still has such a tremendous impact on the town he lives in and his kids. He really helped shape who, you know, Scout and Jim turn out to be as adults. Of course, the kids are amazing. The characters, you know, Scout, Jim, Boo Radley, everybody's just so great. For me, I love this book just for the long fact that there's a character on here based on Truman Capote. That's amazing. The Scout's based on Harper Lee. It's just such an amazing book. It is really an American classic, and in my opinion, it might be the best novel ever written by an American author. It's just amazing. It's also one of my favorite movies of all time. Gregory Peck, is the perfect person to play Atticus Finch. It's one of those movies I hope they never remake it, because that movie was so perfect. I don't see a need to remake it. To Kill a Mockingbird is an amazing book, and for some reason you've never read To Kill a Mockingbird, correct that mistake now and read it as soon as humanly possible. So that's my top 5 list. Sorry if it was a little rambly at certain points. I didn't really sketch out anything I wanted to say. I figured as I picked up each book, whatever inspired me, that's what I'd say right then. So I'm sure this video is a little bit long. I haven't really looked at the time, but hey, you know, I'm passionate about these books, so I can't really apologize for wanting to talk to them. I talked about them for a long time. So let me know what your favorite books of all time are. You know, maybe that was a great chance for me to learn about some great books I haven't read yet. And if you read any of these books in this top 5, please let me know in the comment section what you thought about them. I'd love to hear your opinions. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, favorite, comment, all that great stuff. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, do so. And then also subscribe to Reread Books, where I do book reviews. So if you're looking to learn about more books, check that out. And Project Nerdy is another channel part of it. We talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. So all those channel links will be over here. Hope you enjoyed the video, and happy reading.